Hey guys, this is Downphoenix and welcome to the Downphoenix Show. Today we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch and the lack of representation it's had in pinball games. Up until now, not one but two pinball games have came out for the Nintendo Switch, and I want you guys to check them out. We have Pinball FX3 as well as Stern Arcade Pinball. Which is the better game? We're about to find out. Okay, so let's start off with Pinball FX3. This is the menu that comes up after you boot up the game. There's a large variety of different options, as you can see here. There's 30 tables available to play at launch for the Nintendo Switch version of this game, with more to come from what I understand. There is also Matchup Mode, which is an online capable mode that allows you to basically rank up against other players in order to advance your rank by basically besting them in various pinball tables. There are a large variety of different option settings that you can customize. However, you'll definitely want to turn off the menu voiceover, and you guys are about to hear why.
Video, interface, controls, legal resources, settings, audio, main menu, my collection, main menu, leaderboards, main menu, options, audio.
I also appreciate that the developers built in a mode specifically for YouTubers and streamers to allow you to turn off licensed music so that you won't get a copyright claim whenever you play this game. There's also some custom button mapping. Unfortunately, you can't map it exactly how you want, but the game does offer you a number of different options to customize it to your taste. You'll also see that this game actually offers an option to play in a different format. That's right, you can do vertical play with this. So that's something that we're going to check out right now. Let's go ahead and go into our single player. Let's go and play some Adventureland, or let's play some Sorcerer's Lair. And we'll go ahead and crank up some audio for you guys. Okay, it'll actually let me continue from my previous table. And as you can see, we get a very nice view set that definitely takes advantage of the verticality. I really enjoy playing it this way. This is like more of a tabletop way. This would be a great way to play if you're like at a bar or something like that. You just kind of lay the Switch down and go to town on it. So that's the vertical view, guys. Pretty sweet, I must say. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hop into a game now. So you get a number of different ways to play. You can do just regular single player here, which will give you some power-ups that you can unlock. There's also classic single player, which lets you play completely vanilla, no power-ups whatsoever. If you want to play with friends, you could do some hot seat mode, as you see right there, so you can play with some friends. And then also you have practice mode, which lets you just play basically to your heart's content without running out of balls. So here we are on Sorcerer's Lair, which is one of the mini tables that you can play. This is one of the ones that you'll get for free. This is just a camera pan to kind of show you everything that this table has to offer. All kinds of different objectives that you can accomplish. Looks very much like an authentic pinball table. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. So I just want to kind of go ahead and we'll get started with a game. We're going to go ahead and rip that plunger apart. And we're going to have us some pinball fun. Alright, so here we go. This game does offer you a number of different viewpoints, so if you so choose, you can definitely change the viewpoint however you wish. So I want to show you guys, of course, some gameplay of this, because that is the most important thing in a pinball game. If a pinball game does not play well, then it's really not worth playing. So I want to show you guys exactly how Pinball FX3 plays. So this pinball table, as I mentioned, is called Sorcerer's Lair. Now, this pinball table has a lot of interesting things going on, but if you're a pinball aficionado, you would know that this does not look like an authentic pinball table. And the reason why that is because it is not an authentic pinball table. This game does use a lot of elements that authentic pinball tables would use. However, the developers do take some liberties of it, basically utilizing the video game medium to its advantage to do various little things that you're not going to see in an everyday pinball table. Now, one thing that's really good is while you're playing the game, if you need to go back to the menu to adjust any of the options, you have the total freedom to do that. You don't have to go back to the main menu or anything else archaic like that. So you're able to check all that stuff out, and you can also see some information about the tables, leaderboards, all that great stuff. One thing that I certainly have to compliment Pinball FX3 is the variety in the tables that you can play. Even in just the free tables, there is a lot of variety in the ways they play. The way that you get high scores, jackpots, skill shots, all kinds of great things like that. Even the layouts are slightly different from the tables. So that's something that's really fun to see because it gets tiresome playing pinball games that have tables that largely play the same. As you finish playing a table in Pinball FX3, you can unlock various rewards, which will help you to increase your score multipliers so that you can get even more points in subsequent playthroughs. Not only just in your skill, but also by using these different upgrades, both passive as well as active, that can help you increase your scores. Now, if you're a pinball purist, again, I do want to emphasize, you can play vanilla without any of these power-ups. But this is still an interesting way to allow for additional replay value. Also, if you achieve a high score at the end of your game, you can put the name in locally, not just online, which the game does offer full online leaderboard access, but you can also add local scores so that you can compare your playability with other players that are playing the game on the same system, which is really nice, and the interface is simple and uses the Nintendo Switch text interface. Nothing wrong with that. Now, eventually you may decide to check out some of the downloadable content that's available for this game, since there are a large variety of tables that you can purchase. You can purchase various packs of tables. There's a couple that you can also purchase individually, but it seems like you're pretty much buying packs of anywhere from 2 to 4 tables, or you can buy the season package, which offers a lot of different original tables made by the developers. And finally, if you want to have an online competition with any of your friends or total strangers, you can establish online tournaments where you can have different tables set, different objectives, and give people a certain number of days to play their runs. So that's a really interesting way to offer online multiplayer, since it may not be ideal to do online play for a turn-based game like pinball. So that's a quick overview of Pinball FX3. Now let's take a look at what Stern Pinball Arcade has to offer. Okay, and so now we are checking out Pinball Arcade. Okay, so we're already off to a great start because the music stopped as soon as the loading screen came up. Well, not even as soon as, it stopped a second later. And look how long it's taken to load. Let's look at how long it takes Pinball FX3 to load real quick. Okay, so let's just get past that minor annoyance and let's check out Stern Pinball Arcade and see what it's all about. And hold on, are you fucking kidding me? You can't move with the analog stick? You can only use the D-pad? That's terrible. That's terrible design, guys. Okay, so let's just get on with the review, guys. Let's just take a look and see what the menus for Stern Pinball Arcade have to offer. Like the controls, for example. Surely we have... No, we don't. We don't have any kind of button mapping whatsoever. You cannot adjust your controls. Fantastic, guys. Very good job indeed. Very good. But let's just see what else we've got here. Oh, the only audio option we can adjust is the menu music. Okay, we do have some slight flipper control stuff. Very bare bones menu, not to mention the interface is just very bland and boring looking. This looks like something you would see in a PlayStation 2 game. It's just such a terrible menu design. I mean, the pinball better be dang good. Let's check out the Stern Launch Challenge. And let's try out some of the different challenge modes that we have in this game. Oh, you have to buy every table in the game to even check out this mode. Fantastic. Great design, guys. Well, let's just go ahead and see what your mission is, of course. You want to provide the most authentic pinball experience ever. But that's apparently at the compromise of offering a good pinball experience. At least, I hope that's not the case. Okay, so let's check it out.
Harley Davidson, AC/DC, Star Trek, Mustang, Phantom of the Opera, Ghostbusters, Ripley's Believe It or Not, Starship Trooper, Last Action Hero, High Roller Casino, Frankenstein.
Again, we have to contend with long load times, but fortunately they use graphics from the actual arcade advertisements, which is really nice. And it'd be really cool if you can zoom around and move around the graphics or something. They do let you do that, but not while you wait for it to load. Now, one thing that was off-putting right away is the fact that as soon as I got into the game, I noticed the audio was significantly lower than it was in Pinball FX3, and I didn't really understand why. But it looks like there's more options before you start the game. Okay, so previously I was not at all impressed with this game. It seemed like it was a complete joke. But from what I see so far in the pinball gameplay, what actually matters, it's very solid. The pinball table graphics look really nice. It has a lot of interesting things going on. The heads-up display on the top left is great. The viewpoints are great, and it does a really good job of following the ball. This part is great. It's just that they really need to work on the other stuff. One thing that you'll immediately notice with the design of the pinball tables in this game versus Pinball FX3 is just how much more detail actually goes into the table. Now, this game features authentic pinball tables, whereas Pinball FX3 creates their own tables. But it just seems like there is a lot more going on. There's a lot more lights. There's a lot more decoration on the table. It just looks nicer. Now, it doesn't have quite as many animated elements. Again, that's due to the limitations of authentic pinball tables. But that being said, I really enjoyed the look of things. This game does a great job of the presentation as well as the gameplay once you actually get in. One notable complaint I have, which it may just be this particular table, is that there is a lack of interactive elements. One thing that I really enjoyed in Pinball FX3 is that you can use your ball to hit various targets to knock them down and whatnot. This table in particular doesn't seem to have very much stuff like that going on at all. Now, it may just be the design of the table. That may not be the fault of the game, because like I said, there's a bunch of other tables that you can play. But that being said, that's kind of disappointing. Multi-ball play is really fun though, and you do get some different camera options that you can adjust for multi-ball play if you so choose. Okay, and so I finally wrapped up a game of this, and let's go ahead and put in our initials, because why not? This is stupid. You cannot use the D-pad to adjust your letters. Guess what you have to use? You have to use the actual flipper button. And how painful is that? I mean, yes, this is what you had to do on the actual pinball table, but this is unintuitive as hell. And of course, if you can overlook all of the problems that this game does have and you can accept the game for what it is in terms of having great pinball play, but having bad features, including no multiplayer. You might have not heard me mention anything about multiplayer, and that's because I couldn't find any at all, which is a huge oversight for a pinball game. Probably bigger than everything else I mentioned. I mean, that is just terrible. But you know what? I tried to be really good. But the absolute worst fucking thing about this game is the DLC. It is so expensive for what it is. I mean, on the other game, you can easily get like 3 or 4 tables for the cost that it takes to just get one. And that is with everything being so limited and backwards in this game. I can't defend this at all, guys. Now, there is one last major thing I want to cover, and that is the way that both these games handle rumble. So, here we have what I'm going to demonstrate for HD rumble capabilities for both games. Since you can't really feel the rumble unless you actually play the game, I really cranked up my Yeti microphone so that we can hear the rumble difference between the games. So let's go ahead and do the plunger and get started. Alright, so now let's check out Stern Arcade. So now here we are to Stern Pinball Arcade. Let's go ahead and give the plunger a rip and see how this one does. I feel some rumble, but I don't know what's going on here. Let me make sure I don't have an option turned off here. Oh, vibration's on. Okay, let's try that again. Well, there you have it for Stern Pinball Arcade's rumble functionality. So, that was Stern Pinball Arcade and Pinball FX3. I'll let you guys make the judgment call for yourselves of which one you prefer, but personally, I found Pinball FX3 to be a much superior game. Now, it wasn't superior in every regard, but in all the most important ones, it excelled. And it seemed like Stern Pinball Arcade is one that I would only recommend for maybe hardcore pinball enthusiasts that have actually played and enjoyed these tables. However, if you're not too concerned about actual pinball tables and you just want a really fun and exciting pinball game to play, Pinball FX3 just offers so much more for everybody. So that's the game I would recommend checking out. And then maybe Stern Pinball if you need some more pinball action. But that being said, Stern Pinball Arcade does have a physical release on the Switch, unlike Pinball FX3. So hey, if you want another physical game for your Switch, there you go. But anyways, that's all the time I've got for now. Till then, Downphoenix out.